Hello, and welcome back to the English Grammar course. This is Marian, your English teacher, and today we'll be learning about the present continuous tense. But first, let's review the present simple and its uses and forms. We use the present simple for many different things. First of all, for an action we do regularly. For example, I call my mom on weekends. We use it for something that is true now. She's excited for her holidays. We also use the present simple to state something that is always true. I'm a woman. We use this tense to summarize or describe books, films, or plays. Cinderella is the story of a girl who becomes a princess. And finally, we can use the present simple to refer to future actions. The bus leaves at 7 p.m. To form the present simple tense, we keep the infinitive or base form of the verb, except with third-person singular pronouns, for which we add an S with regular verbs and an ES for irregular verbs. For example, I want, you want, she wants, he wants, it wants, we want, you want, they want. Some examples of irregular verbs in the present simple are verbs that end in O, CH, SH, TH, and SS. For example, I catch, you catch, she catches, he catches, it catches, we catch, you catch, they catch. We also use the present simple to express a feeling that is happening now and can use the verb to be, which is also irregular. We conjugate it as follows. I am, you are, he is, she is, it is, we are, you are, they are. To form negative structures in the present simple, we use the auxiliary verbs don't and doesn't. Don't is the contraction of do not, and doesn't is a contraction of does not. We use the sentence construction subject plus don't or doesn't plus infinitive. For example, I don't want any rice with my chicken. To form negative sentences with the verb to be, we use the construction subject plus be plus not plus infinitive. And we can also contract the verb to be with the word not. I'm not worried about her. To form questions in the present simple, we can use the auxiliary verbs do and does with the subject and infinitive verb. For example, does she often go shopping? If a sentence already has an existing auxiliary verb, we simply place the auxiliary before the subject. We do not use do and does. For example, is she mad at me? Well done. Now it's time to practice. Can you fill in the gaps using the words in the box? I love chocolate cake. She regrets her actions. She is a third person singular pronoun. Therefore, the verb regret needs an S at the end. I don't know how to help her. Do you want to go shopping? My dog doesn't like swimming. My tea is cold. Well done! Now that we've finished our review, we can move on to our lesson on the present continuous. While the present simple is an action we do regularly, the present continuous is something we are doing now. For example, I'm teaching English. Notice how I use the contraction of I and am to form I'm. She's walking to work. We're working on our project. We can use the present continuous for a few other things. For example, to talk about future plans or arrangements. For example, I'm traveling to Rome next week. Are you buying new shoes tomorrow? We also use the present continuous to mention something that is changing, growing, or developing. The climate is getting worse so quickly. Those children are growing up so fast. We also use the present continuous to talk about something that happens again and again. It's always raining in Bristol. She's so cute. She's always laughing. Notice how in these two examples we use adverbs of frequency that are placed between the auxiliary verb and the main verb. Now, to form the present continuous, we use the present participle. The present participle is regular verbs in their infinitive form and then adding ing. For example, grow is the infinitive. Growing is the present participle. Talk, talking. Shout, shouting. We form sentences in the present continuous tense by following the structure subject plus the auxiliary verb be plus the present participle. For example, she's exercising at the gym. She's is the contraction of the subject she and the auxiliary verb to be. I'm calling the phone company. Now remember, there are ways to contract the verb to be with every pronoun. For example, I am becomes I'm. Therefore, to use the verb drink in the present continuous, you can say I am drinking or I'm drinking. You're drinking. He's drinking. She's drinking. It's drinking. We're drinking. You're drinking. They're drinking. Notice in these verbs how the end of the verb stays the same. Walking, 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 walking. There is no change in the third person singular pronoun. The present participle remains the same for all pronouns. Practice time. These sentences are in the present simple. Can you change them to the present continuous? She does her homework. She's doing her homework. I visit my grandma. I'm visiting my grandma. You bring chocolate to school. You're bringing chocolate to school. They play football. They're playing football. We go to the movies. We're going to the movies. Great work! Now let's move on to negative sentences in the present continuous tense. To form negative structures, we use the construction subject plus the auxiliary verb be plus not plus the present participle. And we can also contract the subject with be or contract be with not. For example, I'm not eating ice cream. It's too cold. They're not going out tomorrow. Let's review the negative contractions of the verb to be. As we saw in our previous lesson, there are two ways to contract the verb to be, except for the pronoun I, which remains I'm not. The negative contractions possible are you're not, you aren't. He's not, he isn't. She's not, she isn't. It's not, it isn't. We're not, we aren't. You're not, you aren't. They're not, they aren't. Let's practice. Here are some affirmative sentences in the present continuous. Can you change these sentences into negative sentences with contracted forms? They are going to the library. They're not going to the library. Or they aren't going to the library. I am eating sushi. I'm not eating sushi. She is walking home. She's not walking home. She isn't walking home. We are meeting for lunch. We're not meeting for lunch. We aren't meeting for lunch. You are using a different pen. You're not using a different pen. You aren't using a different pen. We are observing the stars. We're not observing the stars. We aren't observing the stars. Great job! Now, question time. To form questions in the present continuous tense, we follow the structure auxiliary verb be plus subject plus present participle. This means that we place the auxiliary verb before the subject, which is very important to remember. For example, she is running for president becomes, is she running for president? We can use question words in the present continuous. And to do so, we follow the construction question word plus auxiliary verb to be plus subject plus present participle. For example, what are you doing later? When are we eating dinner? Well done! Practice time again. Can you correct the sentence? By this I mean find the error and make the sentence correct. Are she going to the movies tonight? The correct question is she going to the movies tonight? With the pronoun she, the verb to be becomes is. Where we are going on our school trip? The correct question is, where are we going on our school trip? Even with a question word like where at the beginning of a question, the auxiliary verb be must be before the subject. Are we walk to school tomorrow? The correct question is, are we walking to school tomorrow? Walk is the infinitive form, but to ask questions in the present continuous, we need to use the present participle. Therefore, walking. I am meeting you after class later. The correct question is, am I meeting you after class later? The auxiliary verb be must be before the subject. What I drinking? The correct question is, what am I drinking? It's important to note that we do not use the present continuous with stative verbs. Stative verbs are verbs of thinking and feeling. For example, dislike, love, hate, remember, prefer, know. Verbs of senses, appear, feel, smell, sound. Or of opinion, agree, belong, disagree, or need. Let's go straight into practice. Can you choose the correct sentence? She's believing in Santa Claus. She believes in Santa Claus. The second sentence is correct. Believe is a stative verb. Therefore, we cannot use it with the present continuous. The flower is smelling great. The flower smells great. The second sentence is correct because smell is a stative verb. I agree with you. I'm agreeing with you. The first sentence is correct. The second sentence is an error that many English learners make. But remember, we do not use verbs of opinion or stative verbs with the present continuous, or any continuous tense for that matter. This coat belongs to me. This coat is belonging to me. The first sentence is correct. Great work! Now we can move on to our task-based exercise. Today we have a song called Lemon Tree by Fool's Garden. We will listen to the song fully once, then we will listen to parts of the song as you identify all the uses of the present continuous. So, to begin with, enjoy the song, listen, and simply pay attention to when you may hear present continuous. Now let's listen to the first verse again. This time, pay close attention to identify all the uses of the present continuous. Let's go! In this verse, there are a total of 8 instances of present continuous. I'm sitting, I'm wasting, I'm hanging, I'm waiting, I'm driving, I'm driving, I'm driving, I'm waiting. Well done! If you got all these forms of the present continuous, great work! And if you didn't catch them all, let's move on to the chorus and give you the opportunity to try again. Good work! In this chorus, there are 6 uses of the present continuous, all with the same verb. I'm turning. I'm turning, 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 turning around. Let's move on to the second verse of the song. In this part of the song, there are a total of 3 uses of the present continuous. I'm sitting, taking, I'm stepping, which is a colloquial or informal way of saying I'm stepping. Well done! Let's move on to the final part of our song. This is once again the chorus, which you've already identified the present continuous tense in. So, to make it a little more difficult, can you remember or in this chorus that is in the present continuous is I'm turning from the verb to turn. Great work! We have finished our lesson on the present continuous tense. Let's quickly review before we say goodbye. The most common use of the present continuous is to talk about something we are doing now. For example, I'm eating dinner. We can use the present continuous to talk about future plans or arrangements. I'm going on a business trip next week. We can use the present continuous to talk about something that is changing. Your daughter is growing up so fast. And finally, we can use the present continuous to talk about something that happens again and again. For example, I'm always forgetting things. We form affirmative sentences in the present continuous by using the construction subject plus auxiliary be plus present participle. We form negative sentences by following the construction subject plus the auxiliary be plus not plus present participle. And finally, to ask questions in the present continuous, we follow the structure be plus subject plus present participle. Thank you so much. This concludes our lesson on the present continuous. Thank you for joining me today. And next lesson, we'll be moving on to the past simple. See you then.